What's going on, man? Ur.Perspectives Podcast in the building. Got my man ESPN Win in the building. Whole team Dot here. Your co-host of this beautiful podcast. You know what I'm saying? Win, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling amazing, man. I want to take a quick 30-second, 15 seconds. Give a shout out to our sponsor of the podcast, Eternal Water. Make sure y'all getting that, staying hydrated, man. Get your alkaline in you. I like to give a big shout out to Black Taylor, man. Y'all see me in my space suit. I'm dripping hard over here, man. Big shouts out to everybody that's been tapping in with the podcast, man. It means a lot. Make sure y'all liking, make sure y'all commenting, make sure y'all subscribing. Dot, this is episode what? I done lost count.
Hey, this is episode 7. Like you said, bro, big shouts out to Black Taylor. Blessing the podcast, keeping us looking live and fresh. Big shout out to Eternal Water, keeping boys hydrated. You know, it's hot out there in the H. It's hot, brother.
Bottle half low.
So yeah, shout out to Eternal Water, man. But hey, today, man, we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it rolling. Y'all know we got a new segment called Coach's Corner. We got some really prestigious coaches in the building, man, coming by and stopping by. You know, we got history with this guy. We got stories. We got, you know what I mean? From the H. We from the H. He recruited us at the H, at Houston.
He recruited some of us.
Oh yeah, I forgot when. They don't like to shop. They don't like to shop at the Galleria. So, man, but on a serious note, man, you know how we can be journeymen as players. You know what I'm saying? Big shouts out to Coach, who we bringing on right now as a journeyman. He's been in multiple prestigious colleges, man. Not played, but coached under some of the best head coaches in the world, college coaches in the world. But with no further ado, man, we're going to bring up big homie, big brother, Coach Ulric. What's the word?
What's up, fellas? Y'all, I hope y'all done lying for the day, man. We're going to this thing up, though. Once and for all. Have me on, though, man. This is dope.
Man, appreciate you, man. You know, I can remember vividly, you know what I mean, coming out of high school, transferring from Oregon, you know what I mean, you hitting my line, me talking to you. I can remember that vividly, man. It was all genuine, you know what I'm saying, and I appreciate that for sure. You know what I mean, everything was genuine. It didn't work out how it should have, but everything was genuine, man, and I appreciate you for that.
Hey, Doc, I actually talked to you way before that because I used to go watch you in high school. Coach G. Wise is one of my favorites and one of my really good friends. I only had 90 people at my wedding, so I got 45. My wife got 45. He was one of my 45. So that's my guy. Him and his
Shout out G, man.
Yeah. So I watched you in high school with the hoops. We tried to recruit you at Houston, but we'll talk about that later. It was way before Oregon.
For sure. Hey, but now, Win. So, you know, man, with this coaching stuff, man, with this basketball, it's a big family, man. It's a big family, and it means a lot to all of us. You know what I mean? We make relationships, we have friendships, we build brothers, we build a family, man. So I know, Coach, I see your Instagram, you know what I mean? It was a passing of Coach, you know what I mean, Rahim from USF. You know, how was your relationship? How did he play an impact on your life and the basketball world and the college sports, man?
Yeah, Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim was a special guy. Man, I miss him so much, like so many others. But he was one of my best friends. What he had got a chance to do at Kennesaw State, taking them to the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history, and then what he did at South Florida in just 1 year, getting them ranked in the top 25 for the first time in school history, winning the conference championship. But just his impact on the community, both those communities, was immense. Me personally, you know, that's somebody that I talk to every single day. It was like you guys, like it's my guy. Yeah. You know, so we worked together at Texas A&M. We were blessed to be able to be a part of a staff that went to a Sweet 16 when we had Robert Williams and Tyler Davis, those guys. But I was a young coach back then. I was like 30, 31 years old, first time being at the Power 5 level. He was the assistant coach that him and Danielle Robinson, who worked with me at Houston, those two guys were probably the assistants that I idolized and looked up to the most in terms of how I wanted to carry myself as an assistant coach. So the coach that I've molded into today is one because of God, but a large part of because of Amir's impact on my life on and off the floor.
Yeah, man. I say rest in peace. coach, you know, loved. You can be missed. You know, and I, I'm saying, shots out and rest in peace, man. I didn't know much about Coach, but I know he played a big impact on your life. You looked up to him, and he was a family to you. Then I can only say good things about him, even if I
You
never
would
met
love
him.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
rest in peace, man.
Big shouts out to Coach Amir, man. Like you said, that I don't remember really having any interactions with him, but this basketball world is a small family, man. You always know somebody that knew somebody. So I want to give a big shout out to him, man. You know, that's a tragedy, but it's part of life. It's the worst part of life, man. We lose people, and sometimes we gotta go. So we want to send all our condolences from the podcast to his family. I don't know if he had kids or whatnot, but big condolences, man. Shouts out to him. We hope everybody stay well, stay safe, stay prayed up, and sending much love and support from the Ur.Perspective team.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it, fellas. Last thing I want to say is, man, like we actually been talking to his wife. He left a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids, young kids, 8, 6, and 4. His brother was the 3rd pick in the draft back in the day. You guys probably too young to remember, but he's the president of the G League now.
G League, yeah.
Is his brother the guy that went to Cal? Is that his brother?
Cal, yeah, Coach Kennedy.
Stop, man. Listen, I know my history of the game.
Yeah, we know who Rahim is, man. We know Rahim.
Yeah. I remember him. So, I didn't know they was related.
Yeah, that's his. That was. Well, Amir used to hate when I would introduce him and say, "Hey, this is Sharif's little brother." He hated that, and so he wanted to make a name for himself, and he definitely did that. But man, with him passing, man, like we're in the process of organizing information where the links will be available. Not only donate to Future Foundation, which was really important to Coach Amir, but also his kids' college fund. And so when we get that information, we'd love for you guys to share that. We'll share it on ESPN and all that.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. We're gonna make sure we give what we can to that. Whatever y'all send me, whatever the link y'all send us, we're gonna make sure we handle it for sure.
So hey, I'm reposting it for sure. That ain't even a question.
Everything. That ain't no question. But Coach, man, like you said, man, we appreciate you pulling up, man, taking your time out your day. We know you at one of the top universities in the world, man. You taking the time out to chop it up with us, you know what I'm saying? But we're gonna kind of jump into this, man. Give us the rundown of the journey of becoming a coach, man. Like growing up, I know you hooped. I know everything was basketball. But when did you decide, hey, look, I'm gonna put this ball down and I'm gonna give back and I'm gonna be a coach and I'm gonna help young guys grow up and be men, be pros, and respect the game?
So I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. And so North Carolina is a big time basketball state. So I don't know if you guys remember Justin Gray. Justin Gray was kind of like Robin to Chris Paul at Wake Forest back in the day. He was a big time player, had a big time career overseas. He's the head coach at Coastal Carolina now. But that was my middle school teammate. And a lot of really good other Curtis Withers. I grew up with all those guys. Well, I've been playing since I was 3 or 4 years old. Jeff McGinnis, who played in the NBA, was the neighborhood hero. Anthony Morrow was another guy played in the NBA that I grew up with. And then I moved to Dallas-Fort Worth when I was 14 because my dad worked for the American Airlines. And then in high school, I played on a really good high school team at Arlington Boyd. We was top 10 in the state. But I knew I wasn't going to be like a big-time Division I player. I didn't want to go play at a D3, JUCO. That's kind of like the options that I had. At 15, I knew I wanted to coach. At 17, I had my own AAU team. And I was blessed at 18 to merge that team Arlington Select, because I probably had about 7 or 8 Division I players. Brandon Fields is a name y'all may remember that played in Nevada. Had a little cup of coffee in the NBA. Merged those guys with the Dallas Mustangs, who at that time was one of the best Reebok teams under Sonny Vaccaro, Chris Rivers, that regime. And so at 18, I was the head manager at Howard University, where I met my beautiful wife, but I also was an assistant coach for the 17 under team, that class of 2005, but I was the head coach of the 15 under Dallas Mustang team, the 2007 group. And I came up that, my college career with those guys. So right out of college, I was the youngest Division I coach in the country at 21. I went to UTA. And I've had all these different jobs in the state of Texas: Stephen F. Austin, University of Houston, SMU, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Texas, and now I'm with my man Coach Tang here at Kansas State. So that's the short and sweet version.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Coach Tang too, man. Shout out to Coach Tang. He was at Baylor when boys was coming out, man. I got a couple stories. Yeah. Tell him I said what's up, man. Tell him, don't remember that call he had with me when he said, "Hey, look, hey, Dot. So what happened? Well, I went to a visit to Oregon, right? Loved it. Loved it. Came home. I remember I was at U of H working out with Gaston. I said, man, let me step outside and call Tang. I still want to go to Baylor. So I left the visit, came back home. I was like, man, I still want to go to Baylor. I called Tang. I'm like, Tang, hey, I'm ready to commit. This is when he was the assistant. I say, Tang, I'm ready to commit. He said, Dot, yeah, man, we love you, but we got one player that we waiting on to commit. Can you hold off?
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. He said today when I told him I was coming on the podcast, he was like, tell them two dudes I'm mad that they didn't come play for me at Baylor.
Man, he said, he said, let me hold. Hey, can you hold off? Can you hold off? We waiting to get one player. Can you hold off? And I'm like, okay, I know who the one player is. I know y'all recruiting Torian Prince. So it's either me or Torian Prince. Okay, cool. TP, shout out to TP. That's my man's. But Coach Stubbs told me at Oregon, he said, you come here, you're going to play. You're going to start right away. Yeah. So I'm like, why would I wait when I want it? You're supposed to go somewhere where you want it, not tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Coach Tang, man. Coach Tang, look, check it out, man. I know you're doing your thing over there at Kansas State. But at the end of the day, man, let's let the truth be told now. Come on. let the truth be told now, Tang.
Hey, Coach Tang got to come on here and defend himself because he may have a
He got to come on here and defend himself, man.
Hey,
I remember that call.
I don't got no bad story about Coach Tang, man. I actually love Coach Tang, man. He was coaching me at two different camps when I really was able to break out. When I really started to elevate my ranking in the nation, I was at the US Elite Camp, which was based out of Baylor. This is 8th grade. This is like J. Mike, Zach Peters, this and that. And so I first had my first interaction with Coach Tang at Baylor at the US Elite Camp, where, of course, I finished the #1 player. Then fast forward a couple months. Now, real talk, fast forward a couple months. I'm at the Fab Frosh Camp out in Chantilly, Virginia. And Coach Tang is coaching there as well. And he was actually my coach then. And so, man, I was able to play some of my best basketball at those camps with Coach Tang, man. So I don't have nothing bad to say about Coach Tang. I'm sure they wanted me at Baylor, but Coach, you know me. I wanted to go be a small forward somewhere by myself. I didn't want to share the floor with Torian Prince or Howard or these other guys. So, no harm, no foul. Big shouts out to Coach Tang, man.
But that story, look, Win, that story that I'm telling not bad. It's just one of those that it was I could have waited, but I was like, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna take Stubb call and I'm gonna just go ahead and commit because he told me I'm gonna start right away. So why not?
It worked out for you. Stubbs was right. You went in there, you was killing from day one, and none of us were surprised. The people that knew, we knew.
Yeah, nah, for sure. But big shouts out to Coach Tang, man. You're doing your thing over there, man, for sure. But Coach, man, we kind of wanna jump into the college times now. You've been around for a minute, man. We know with the NIL and everything, a lot of stuff has changed. The approach has changed. The way you recruit has changed. So I want to know, man, your recruiting style and how you look at recruiting and how has that changed over the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a question that we talk about as a staff a lot. It's like, how much does it matter us going to the Peach Jam and all that kind of stuff? Because Doc, you remember, like, I love to be able to, have different my shoes and all that kind. I want my shoes to stand out because I love the Galleria. But we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to like stand out from everybody. But like now, like just with the portal and the way NIL is taking over, a lot of times it doesn't even really matter to a lot of these kids that you go to every single game. Like I learned from Coach Tang and Coach Cross and those guys, Scott Cross, shout out to Coach Cross, my very first boss. Like you get a reputation of being able to recruit guys early. You see guys in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and you build a real relationship with them. So by the time they're a rising senior, you make it hard for those dudes to say no to you and their families. You know what I mean? Like, because you had just such a real relationship. And now it's not like that. It's a lot more transactional. So, but what we try to do is still be relational in a transactional space, if that makes sense. So, if things have changed, business is, business, you got to talk about the business, but it's still certain things that are very important. And we want to make sure that, guys are aligned and families are aligned with what we're about in order for it to win, because good business is when both people win.
Man, that's interesting that you said that, brother, because I think you hit it right on the head. I can remember during my time, one of the real reasons I actually committed to San Diego State was my relationship with Tony Bland. But, there used to be certain days when the coaches could come to Findlay Prep and actually watch the practice and interact with you. And so when that day started, Coach Fish was there, Brian Dutcher was there, Tony Bland was there, and they all were there to see me. And that really made me feel like, man, these guys really want me. Now, after hearing what you just said and talking to Coach Simon yesterday, he kind of described it as like a European situation where guys don't really care about that anymore. And it's just, what's the offer? Yeah. Right. So I don't really care about you showing up at the Peach Jam no more. It's, am I getting this amount of money or am I getting this amount of money? And, so that's kind of throwing a little salt in the game, I guess, to where, I guess, like you said, it's just more transactional now.
Yeah, because back in the day, man, like when you would show up with your entire staff, like the max that you could have all on the road, and still the rules is 4 guys. If we showed up with 4 guys, you get, now we get 100 days, but it used to be 130 recruiting days. And each coach would count as a day. So if we all went to go see you, Sticky, at Findlay Prep, that was 4 recruiting days that we used that one day to see you. So that it used to like scream that, man, I'm a priority. Well, the guys, they see that, but they really they don't receive that. And like everybody's smart enough, whether they mean it or not, to not lead with NIL for the most part. You got a few that don't really get it and they lead with it, and that's a hard no for a lot of coaches. But at the end of the day, whether it is what it is, whether your heart is right or not, like you have to figure it out. You got to figure out what are they talking about NIL wise, because it is part of the equation. Now, some families and kids, it's not as big of a decision, or young men, I should say, it's not as big of a deal breaking as others. But it's a lot of, these young men, man, this in their families, this is, they come from nothing. So like, it's hard to tell them to turn down money when they come from where we all from. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I get it on one standpoint. I hate it for them because it's chump change at the end of the day on what they can make down the road if you do make it to the NBA, and be able to make real generational money, so.
No, for sure. That's kind of similar to what Simon said yesterday. He was saying the same thing, like the money and what you're making and what you could potentially make in your pro career is don't let that. Think about, the time and money at the same time. Think about the time you put in and think about how much money you're gonna make. So I think that's big. That's a great advice from assistant coach itself, man. Y'all heard it first. But Coach, I will say, man, that it did stand out. Like Wynn said, first day of recruiting, you had all the coaches there. He look up and all the coaches are there. I can remember vividly.
That ain't the world to me.
I can remember vividly, bro. I can remember vividly leaving the track at Yates, walking down the hallway and seeing Dana Altman and Stubbs right in the middle of the hallway as I'm walking to the gym. You know what I'm saying? That's when I knew. I was like, all right, where else am I going, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't y'all here, but like they came from the West Coast. Head coaches here. You know what I'm saying? So that does mean a lot, but now it's a little different. I was saying yesterday that guys don't even go to their dream schools no more. There's no dream school. There's no dream school no more. Yeah. And that sucks because that's the way we came up, But
what I will say though, man, is I think it's a catch-22 situation, Coach U, because I think we all know over the course of the game, there's been tons of guys that had high school hype, had names, and probably could have produced and made something off their name that ultimately went to college, wasn't a pro, didn't become a pro. So that small chunk of change, which we're talking about 200, 300, let's just use those numbers, thousands of dollars, that could have really helped them set up their life. And then obviously on the flip side of that, you got your guys that might get that 200, 300, 400 and just say, all right, I'm good. So, go ahead.
Well, two things. I do think that there are still a small percentage of guys that do get a chance to go to their dream school. I do that, but I do agree. I think a lot of that is going out the window. And then to Sticky, to your point, man, like I just know like it's important for us, especially as you know, we've got the first all black coaching staff, where I'm talking about head coaches and the top 3 assistants are all black, to go to the Elite Eight the very first time. Nobody really talks about it. I know, you know.
I did not know that. Did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about it. A little, you know, a Black history fact for you. You know, but the first time that's happened, that all minority staff like that has happened. But for us, we understand the responsibility, because I didn't know at their age about credit score. I didn't understand at their age about a financial advisor. My financial advisor is a guy, Jordan Howard, big time, used to be Coach Tain's GA and worked with Edward Jones. Now he manages so much money, he's kind of branched off and does his own thing. Big time young brother, right? And so we expose those guys to insurance companies and talk about umbrella insurance and talk about financial advising and investing. We actually play in New York Saturday against St. John's, and we're going to take them to Wall Street, you know, so they can see it live and, you know, in stock exchange. We expose these guys to these things, and we're blessed to be in the situation to have the platform that we have, and we don't take it lightly. So I think, you know, if coaches would be able to pour into their guys that way too, it helps them so they won't just get the, you know, the money. I know when I started making $300,000 at 26, 27 years old, I was living check to check. I didn't know. My parents lived to check. And Mama, I'm not throwing a shot at you and Pops. Rest in peace, Pops. But I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was at, you know, North Park Mall or go to Houston Galleria. I'm going out to the club. I'm buying up the bar. You know, so but it took, you know, a guy like Coach Tang who poured into me and told me the importance of paying my tithes and investing my money and all that kind of stuff to be able to settle me down, because you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? So it's really important for that. And that's just life after basketball. It's so much bigger than basketball.
Parents out there, man, if you want your kids to play for all African-American coaching staff, you want your kids to get taken care of, you want them to have a chance to go to Wall Street and actually learn something, get at my man, Coach U at Kansas State, man. I ain't gonna lie, Coach, that's pretty awesome, and I didn't know that about you guys, and I'm not surprised to hear that, knowing the type of guy Coach Tang is, and oftentimes the head coach, the assistants is all a reflection of each other, man. So I really like what y'all got going on, man, and I think that that's going to be affecting a lot of young black men's lives in a very, very positive way, man. So big shots out on that, man.
Big shots out to Kansas State. Big shouts out to Kansas State.
And it's not a black-white thing, because we're blessed.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, but listen. We've got all different types. We got, you know, black guys, we got white guys, we've got all types of guys in the program. We got Hispanic guys in our program, managers, GAs, and we want to impact all these guys. Now, the reality is a lot of the players that we're going to coach are going to be black guys, you know, right. and so that's everybody. That's across the board in college basketball, you know, so we have to be the example, though. We got to be the example and teach them that, man, that you can be better than generational changes. That's what we call it. Be generational change. Yeah.
Nah, for sure. But Coach, man, you know, Kansas State is Big 12, prestigious school, one of the top colleges that you can go to and play basketball at, man. So from the assistant coach himself, what are you looking for while recruiting?
Yeah. Well, for us here at Kansas State, the number one thing is we want guys that are serious about winning and have winning pedigree. You look at our team 2 years ago that went to the Elite Eight. We had 8 guys on that team that won a state championship. We had another 4 or 5 guys that had NCAA tournament experience. So when we're recruiting these guys in the portal, we want a combination of that. You know, we want guys that have winning pedigree. They understand the sacrifice that it takes. They know their ring size. I'm a size 10. Like, I got the ring size on my desk. Like, it's important for guys to want to be able to climb up that ladder and cut that net down. And ultimately, man, we want to climb up the biggest ladder on the first Monday and Monday night in April. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal. It's to win a national championship. And so we're blessed, man. Like, you know, we want to get guys that are winners, guys that are competitive, great teammates that are addicted to the game of basketball. Obviously, man, it's a benefit to be able to get guys that want to get their degrees and that kind of thing. I was the first one in my family to get my degree, so that's really, really important. When I recruited your brother Pee Wee at Stephen F. Austin, I told him that I was going to be at his graduation, and I was there. He walked across the stage at American. He had no idea I was going to be there. Nope, he didn't tell him nothing. When he walked off the stage, I was right there. We cried together. Like, that's my brother for life. So,
shout out Pee Wee, man. Shout out Pee Wee.
Yeah, shout out to Pee Wee, man. That's important for us as well, you know, and to get guys that understand that understand that Kansas State's a special place, and that life after basketball, man. We got some of the best fans in college basketball. They can come here. They can get everything that they want in their college experience right here in Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah.
So you want a winner, a competitor, addicted to the game.
Absolutely.
And a great teammate.
Great teammate.
Coachable. Okay. All that stuff involves in being a great, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're a winner, you're competitive, and you're a great teammate, you're coachable, you know what I mean? Like, you're fun to be around. You're an energy giver. You're not an energy vampire. You know, we don't, you know what I mean? So that's really important for us, man. And in recruiting, man, you are what you recruit. You know what I mean? So, like, if you want guys to be leaders and you want energy givers, you have to be intentional about that as a staff. And we talk about that. And with this portal, we all is figuring this thing out. So, like, we don't have it all figured out. But as we continue to navigate through it and we're putting these teams together out of the portal, we already have a plan to make it that much more bulletproof going forward, you know, and getting NBA intel. You know, we got to figure out now, you know, when, like, you know, like, you know how they would always ask, hey, when he gets the money, is he going to stop working? Well, we got to figure that out now. You know what I'm saying? These guys get $1 million, you know, or they get $500,000. Does he just relax because he got a Tesla in the parking lot and he got $500,000? Or is he going to keep grinding because he understands that he's trying to go make real? He wants the $300,000, you know what I mean? Max contract, you know what I mean? So exactly. We're trying to figure
Coach,
that out.
on that topic, have you seen, or what have you seen from these guys? Have they been able to keep their competitive drive? Have they been able to keep their grind now that they got $1 million in their pocket? And, you know, I seen the left tackle. I know it's football, but I seen the left tackle at Colorado freshman. He's already driving a Maybach, right? Yeah. So, you know, is it easier to see these guys not taking it as serious and feeling like they made it? Or have you seen these guys like, man, I got a little taste of it and, man, I want more. I gotta stay on the grind. Like, kind of what's your thoughts on that?
So if I'm being totally honest, you really know me. Like, I just got to keep it a buck. I don't really know no other way to do it. I'm not going to call no names, but right now on this team that we have, I feel like, first of all, I think we got a team that if we all come together, we could play in a Final Four. Like, we got a Final Four team. You get to the Final Four, anything can happen. We could be beat by anybody in the country, but on the right night, we could beat anybody in America. There's no doubt in my mind about that, right? But we have some guys that I feel like we are trying to convince them that they have to work harder because they hadn't arrived yet. But then we have some guys that have gotten the money and they still grinding, man. Like, we hit on those guys. Like, we got the right guys. Like, they want more. They want more. And so the goal is to be able to have a team full of guys that want to work that way. Or if you have one that doesn't, maybe the other 12 can convince that one, you know, to kind of get on board. But, you know, so and it's not just a Kansas State deal. It's everybody across the board, low major to high majors, dealing with this in college basketball.
So I will say, touching on that, like talking about that, I mean, with or without the money, coaches is always pushing that narrative. Hey, we got 3 guys over here that's not interested. They here to get a degree, free scholarship, free ride. So with or without the money, coaches are always pushing that narrative. So there's no shots thrown at anybody right now. You know what I'm saying? Coaches has been pushing that narrative. I can remember multiple teams I've been on, professional, college. Coaches is always pushing the narrative on the guys that don't want to work hard, don't want to stay after practice, don't want to run the extra sprint, make the time. You know what I'm saying? So that's forever a thing that's been going on with basketball, college basketball. Before the money, after the money, it's going to be a thing that's going to go on. So it's no shots thrown. Y'all boys need to work harder. Grind.
So
grind. It's more money out there to be made, man.
Two things,
they
man.
They get, even to the coaches, they're giving it away, man.
They're giving it away. It's unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely. Go get it. Yeah.
We had a saying at Finley Prep, and Coach Peck used to say it as like a slight. Like he'll come in, we'll be getting flushed at halftime or something, we'll be down, and he'll come in and be like, man, I can't put in what God left out. Like that was his thing. Like he just, man, I can't force you to want it. So, kind of seeing this, and what I think, brother, is I don't think the money changes people at all. I think it just make you more of whoever you are. If you was lazy or you didn't really want to be, I'm gonna put 50 shots up instead of 200. Exactly. That $300,000 deal, NIL deal, is only gonna make you more of what you already are. So, kind of speaking to that, man, I think the guys out there, to the youth, man, if you already a grinder, then you probably gonna continue to be a grinder, whether you got a $0 or $1 million. And if you kind of on that shaky edge a little bit where you kind of in the gray area, then you're just going to be more in the gray area with some money in your pocket. So I think it's important for the youth to stay locked in earlier and kind of develop those habits before the money comes. So that way, when you get the money, you already know who you are.
When I will say this, man, a colleague of mine, Kim English, who I have a lot of respect for, head coach at Providence, I remember asking him on a road, because he was a really good player in Missouri. I said, man, why do you think you didn't have as long of an NBA career? Because he's a guy that grinded. And he got to the NBA. He made good money. And he said it's a natural thing, though, to get to the NBA and guys relax. Because it's like you all your life, you want to get to the NBA. Then it's like you get there and it's like, he said, he said the thing, though, that if he would have told his old self, his young self now, is like, don't just want to get to the NBA. He should have had the mindset that I want to be an NBA All-Star, or I want to be an NBA Hall of Famer, so that if you fall a little short, now you're a journeyman in the NBA. And a lot of time, guys' goal is they just say their whole life, I want to make the NBA, I want to make the NBA, I want to make the NBA. So even me as a head coach, I've taken that advice, and it's not, I want to be a head coach. It's, man, I'm gonna be a Hall of Fame coach. I want to put the orange jacket on. You know what I mean? Like I gotta go to Springfield. Like I want to put the orange jacket on one day. You know what I mean? Like, and so it just, your mindset, your perspective is a little bit different now, because, and you're not scared to say it out loud. And then now you gotta walk it like you're talking. You know what I mean? Like you gotta chase that, and your grind has to reflect that. And that's what we try to get across to our guys too. Yep.
Kind of realizing that it's always more out there, man. Right? So getting to the NBA. Yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment. We cannot ever downplay that or discredit that, but it's so much more. Like you said, okay, I need to become a full-time starter. I need to be a 15-point per game guy. I'm trying to make the all-star team. I need the all-rookie team. Like, it's always something more that you could be striving for.
You want to be a 10-year vet.
Exactly. It's never really a
10-year vet.
Just a relaxing moment from what I see. So, yeah, that's good advice for the youth right there.
Not for sure, man. Yeah, man, Coach, that's great advice, man. Looking back on a lot of things, back on a lot of decisions, and just from a pedigree of coming from Houston, man, grinding, working out with Lucas, working out with Gasto, it always been in, the grind. And so we never had that issue. Me, Win, a lot of guys from the H, man, we never had the hard work issue. But I see a lot of guys that are very talented that should have got way farther than they did. And it just didn't work out because either one, the coach was trying to push them to be the best player they can, and they didn't have that work ethic, or two, they just didn't love the game as much because the basketball was probably forced upon them at a young age. I always say this, the basketball was forced upon some of these guys at a young age, and by the time you get to college, high school, you get burnt out.
You just burnt out, yeah.
You burnt out.
I've seen that a lot.
You're tired of coaches. You're tired of people telling you, asking you, talking about basketball, and you get burnt out. I do believe that's one of the things that happened with a lot of these guys that was really good coming up. You know what I'm saying? And the work ethic is going to get you where you want to get to, man. The competitiveness and the love of the game. You got to love the game to be able to get better every year, every summer. You just have to love the game. There's no other way to approach it. Either you in or you out. Like, either you love the game or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Or you really, 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 really talented like Kevin Durant, and you don't have to touch a ball for the summer.
Yeah,
and
but
there's only a certain few of those.
Those guys are in love with the game.
He still do. That's what I'm saying. And he still do. And that's only what 1% of the world that can be like a KD. You know what I'm saying? So that's great advice, man. And I think we should preach that more. And a lot of guys should understand that, man. It's the love of the game that's everything.
Well, Doc, I'll say this too, is like to the dads that are out there of the youth, or even moms, like sometimes parents could be trying to live through their kids. Right, we see that all the time, right? And then we know the kids that even when we came up with y'all, when y'all coming up, like, and they don't make it fun. It's got to be fun to these young men and women. And then now they want to get in the gym. They want to have that opportunity to get better. And as coaches, we got to keep it fun. We got to keep it fresh, and they feel like they're getting better, every day.
Yeah, every day. Nah, man, the game is, man, 30. The game still goes, man. There's always going to be another game, another situation, another job, another recruit, another high school player, another college that has an open scholarship. So, man, you got to love the game, brothers. You're not just going to get recruited by Kansas State and you not loving the game. You heard what Coach said already. You got to be a competitor, great teammate, a winner, you know what I'm saying, and just love the game. So,
not love. Addicted to the game.
Addicted to the game.
I was gonna say, Doc, the love of the game is cool, but you also have to have some pride about yourself and some professionalism. I know for me, that was my biggest thing. Yes, I love the game, but there was no way I was gonna let Doc outshine me. Like that's the way I was thinking. And I'm saying Doc because I'm you my brother, but I'm saying whoever. It was whoever, And that was just always my type of thinking.
Yeah.
But these kids nowadays are not obsessed with getting better. They just like they're social basketball players. They want, they got the camera following around. They got the camera crew. They, you guys will compete against each other in Peace Jam, and it's too foo-foo. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to go compete, and then when we get off the floor, then we go kick it. You know what I mean? But like it's just too nice. It's too nice, man.
One of my. I was gonna say one of my sayings now. I always say now because growing up for me, for when we worked out with Gasto, I feel like the young guys now are scared to play one-on-one. You could tell me, like you could let me know more. I know you around more young guys than me, but after those Kansas State practices, are dudes going at each other, or are they playing ones? Are they attacking each other? You know what I'm saying?
No, we play one-on-one in practice though. We play a lot.
When I was at Oregon after practice, me and DA would go to the gym at night and play ones. Literally, we would sit in the practice gym and play one-on-one.
To that point, Coach Tane would tell our guys, and so that Elite 18 2 years ago, Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel, those guys would start playing a little bit of one-on-one after practice, Naquan Tomlin. But that team that won a national championship at Baylor, when they did Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell and all those guys, Maceo T, they would play one-on-one all the time. Like they would have to stop them, from playing one-on-one because they'd be about to kill each other. But it just, I don't know if guys built like that no more. And maybe they are. They're not. Yeah. We got to find them. I'm sure they probably, we as coaches, we get a little older. I just turned 40, but this is my 19th season. So I'm kind of like with the old heads now. It's like, I feel like sometimes we say that, but they got to be out there. Like Coach Brooks would always say, Big Brooks, you got to flip over every rock. They out there. You got to flip over every rock. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah. I mean, I think it's more of the, the cameras, like you say, the IG. Oh, yeah. Boys don't want to get like, what I'm saying, scored on or crossed over or dunked on while the camera's rolling. You know what I'm saying? Me and Wayne got footage out here right now on YouTube playing ones, going at it at Gasto camp 10, 12 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's back what we used to do. And that's when we've been going at it since 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was more of our upcoming LJ, Rashid, J Mike, Wynn. All these guys, we used to go at each other. We wasn't backing down from nobody. Like me, Clyde, we play one-on-one every day at school. You know what I'm saying? After practice, we playing ones. So I think that's a big thing too. If you want to keep adding to your bag and keep getting better and just keep being competitive.
Well, how can you add to your bag if you're going against these cones? I don't understand that. The cones ain't moving. I haven't figured that out yet. I always say it's a lot of different ways to get the 4. 4 is winning. Right, so 3 + 1 is 4, 2 × 2 is 4, 8 - 4 is 4. So it's a lot of different ways to get the 4. I just don't understand how you get the 4 and cones don't move. I just don't get that. But,
well, coach, that's why you see these guys that get into the game and they try to get to that, and it's not working. Because now you got 6'5" Dot on you who's athletic and fast and can play D, and oh man, this cone is actually moving now, and this step back I was practicing, oh, he all on my elbow now and I can't get it off. So man, I do want to switch gears with y'all a little bit, man. Let's turn the heat up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And Dot, you named a lot of players just now, man, of some local Houston talent. And I do believe I've been playing all over the world. I had the opportunity to go to Finley Prep, so I'm saying that to say I've had an experience to see a lot of different cities, a lot of different players. And I feel like here in Houston, we got some of the best talent in the nation. Obviously, we already did our segment on the class of 2012 and why we think that's the best class to ever come out of Houston. We had 8 top 100 recruits, etc. But, you know, we got to jump into it, man. Why are these guys not staying at Houston? What's going on, man? Well,
wait, I would say way back when, well, not that long ago, but 2011. Let's just say when Coach U was at U of H, 2010 to 2012. Why weren't we getting recruited? When I heard a story, I know you told me a story. We've been doing a podcast for about 7 months now. I know you told me one of your coaches referred to you that, hey, look, Houston don't shop at the Galleria.
Now, I do want to preface that with saying we all know that Wynn was Mr. Cool and swag man, and so, you know, a lot of times people would be trying to get subliminal messages across to me, but, you know, there was a story, Coach U, that I want to address with you now. We face to face, we men. It's 15 years later, but my AAU coach, and this is a true story, looked me in my face in Las Vegas. I had just went crazy. And I went and asked him, and I was like, you know, I've never spoken to anybody at U of H. Me personally, I'm like, what's going on? And he proceeds to tell me the famous line of, well, you know, when they told me they just don't want to shop at the Galleria. And I never understood what that comment was. And now I do want to preface that with say some coaches in this particular coach be capping sometimes. So, but I do want to address it, Coach U. Is that a true statement? Did you guys tell him we don't want Winston because we're not shopping at the Galleria?
Oh, first and foremost, all right. No, seriously, Doc, like first and foremost, man, outside of Coach Tang, because Coach Tang is the 4th National Coach of the Year that I've been blessed to work with. Okay, 4th.
Yeah.
Coach Sampson, all right, is in my top 3 college basketball coaches in the country. I love everything that man is about. He's about winning, toughness, and he has embraced the city of Houston, the whole Galen Robinson for the city, the whole 9. He had my man Talvin Hester was on staff there. Alvin Brooks III, one of my best friends. So Coach Brooks, like an OG. I work with Coach Brooks, like just everything. So I got a lot of respect for Coach Sampson. What that staff is doing is unbelievable. All right. Now I was at Houston in 2010 to 2012 before I went to SMU with Larry Brown. Okay. And the one thing that I know we got done is we got local players to come back home. We didn't win. That's the only school, right, in my 19 years that I was not blessed to be a part of putting together a roster that went to the NCAA tournament. But had we stayed there, because I left and went to SMU, Danielle Robinson left and he went to either Loyola Chicago or Iowa State. And I'm not saying that the guys left because of us, but then Joe Young transferred out, Tayshaun transferred out, Daniel House transferred out. Those guys left. Had that group stayed together, had our staff stayed together, we were, you know, the recruits that we were involved with, I felt like we were going to be an NCAA tournament team. I do. Now, here's the thing. That 2012 class was unbelievable. I remember it like yesterday. But it was a dude in that 2012 class that I remember telling him, because our whole staff talked to him on June 15th. Remember back in the day, June 15th of your sophomore, you're still the same way. That was another big thing. Like you call guys at midnight, it meant something. I don't even do that no more. Like I ain't stepping up to do that because it don't matter. Right? Yeah. So look, we talked to Daniel House that night for an hour and a half, right? We offer house. He was playing for Total Package back then. I told him, you a local rapper right now. You a local rapper, but you going to be Drake. But by the time Kansas and all them figure out you Drake, it's going to be over. You coming to Houston, right? Now, Daniel House was at Hightower. So when you left and went to Finley Prep, he went to Hightower. It was the whole, the quote unquote beef, that y'all didn't want to play together. And we felt like we was going to get Daniel House. Daniel House was playing with my man Marlon Lowe at the time, and Chicken and all them guys was talking about playing together. That class, we got Daniel House, we got Chicken, right? And we got a shot blocker named Valentine. I don't know if y'all remember Big Valentine.
I remember. I played with Valentine with Gas, though.
He ended up going to San Diego State on the back end.
Yeah. But he started off at Washington State, right? So when we got those three, I learned as a young coach, because I was 25 back then, we should have oversigned, because the word was through G Waz, shout out G Waz, right, that we had a chance to get Dot, because Dot was like, man, I want to go to Houston, or interested in Houston. I don't know if we could have.
I did. No, look, I'm not gonna lie. If I would have got an offer from U of H, I would have came. I didn't get an offer from U of H.
We was top 10 class in the come out with you. You was gonna match up with Daniel House, Poochie Boy, and Chicken Nose. It was crazy. It was a movement, right? Yeah. We had Jonathan Simmons, who was from the H, who we got from JUCO. He was already there. We had Joe Young. Mighty Joe Young was in the building. Like, it was about to be crazy. We had Tayshaun Thomas, who played for the Hoops. Like, Tayshaun Thomas, one of the best freshmen I've ever coached in my college career. Right, so we were about to load that thing up, right? And so that class was coming in, right? And we had a chance to get Dot, and also Jelon Hornbeck, who I believe played on those Final Four team in Oklahoma with Buddy Hield. He had played AAU with Texas Pro as well with Daniel House and Chicken. They wanted to come as well. We should have, in hindsight always 2020. We should have took both of them. So that's what really happened. What y'all was talking about, first of all, I love Coach Clay. He captain. That boy captain. If you ever want to call him on three-way, he can call him on three-way, because what I'm telling you is the truth. I apologize to guys all the time. Zaire Smith, I screwed that up. Coach Amir actually told me at A&M, he was like, yo, I love Savion Flagg, but I'm telling you, we need to recruit Zaire Smith. And I'm like, man, I just think we can get Savion Flagg. We probably should. And Amir was like, man, we need to take both of them dudes. Zaire Smith, the NBA player. And I'm like, you think? I think he's a mid-major four-man. He went to Texas Tech. He ended up turning into a wing. It was a lottery pick. So every time when I got to Texas Tech, he would come back in summer. I'd be like, Z, man, I apologize. I screwed that up. Obviously, you didn't need to come to A&M because it worked out for you. But, yeah, I screwed that up. So I don't have no problem telling you we screwed up. But that ain't y'all capping, man. Y'all capping.
So it sounds like Coach Clay was trying to get a subliminal message across to me.
He was just trying to get you fired up. He was just trying to, sometimes it's coaches.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. We don't necessarily lie sometimes. We tell a white lie, but we ask for forgiveness first, because we know thou shalt not lie. And then, and Lord, you know our heart. So we just got to get this. We got to say this right here to kind of get them, get them.
He was poking the bear a little bit.
Just try to
poking the bear.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Hey, look,
shout out Coach Clay, man.
Look, man. Shout out Coach Clay, man. Shout out Coach U.
Hey, we got one of Coach Clay's boys, Coleman.
Yeah, I know.
Coleman Hawkins played for Dream Vision. Yeah. Shout out Dream Vision.
Shout out Dream Vision for sure. But what I will want to say, man, Alvin Brooks, you said a bunch of names in there, man. Shout out to Alvin Brooks, recruited me after you to U of H when I transferred. Showed a lot of love, man. Shout out to Coach Sampson. I always say shout out to the staff over there at U of H. Made it a home, made it a family. It's still a family when I go back. You know what I mean? We shot a couple podcasts there, episodes, so it's still love, man. I do.
Well, Doc, you got
big shouts out to them.
When I was with Coach Dickey, the Houston recruiting doesn't happen without Coach Brooks.
Yeah.
It don't happen. Even when Coach Sampson got the job, shout out to Coach Sampson for understanding he needed to keep Coach Brooks on staff, because he doesn't get Galen Robinson and Fabian White and yourself and all these other guys that were like foundational pieces to that program without Coach Brooks and Coach Talvin Hester, because those guys understood the layout of Houston basketball, because it's tricky. Y'all know this. Houston ain't one of them cities like you can just roll up in, and if you don't know people around there, you ain't getting in. No, they don't care who you are. You're not getting in. You better have somebody named that can get you into that gym. And
They'll
you
send
say
somebody off to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
hey, you walk in with Coach Brooks. You certified. You certified.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Nah, that's super lit, man. The basketball in Houston, man. I haven't been super familiar with the young guys now, but I know the young guy over there at Bel Air that's going to Duke. You know what I mean? Big shouts out to him. Big shouts out to the young fella at Yates, Calvin Murphy III. He came and hooped with us a little bit at U of H. So I am tapped in a little bit with the young talent out there in Houston, man. Big shout out to Big John that just committed to Texas. He was supposed to come to U of H, but he committed to Texas, man. Big shouts out to him. TJ Ford, one of the TJ Ford people. You know what I'm saying? So the Houston community is small, man. Once you in, you in. You know what I'm saying? And that means a lot to me. It means a lot to the pod, man. We try to show love to the H first, and then we expand the horizons. But I will say, man, we trying to get Coach Hester. I talked to Coach Hester a little bit. We trying to get Hester over here. He a head coach now, man. Big shouts out to Talvin Hester. So we trying to get him on here for sure. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, I tapped in with him. I talked to him. I talked to him a little bit. He said, "Let's set it up." But yeah, Coach, man. I know. Wynn had a question. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to tap in with the NIL a little bit, but I'll throw it up and we'll say, you know what I'm saying, thoughts on the upcoming revenue sharing.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of give a rundown on that, Wynn, and what you was referring to when you meant by that.
I'll set a little backstory for you. So one of my friends that played long time ago with us in AAU named Trayvon, he actually went on to play at New Mexico State, so he had a little bit of a career himself, point guard out of San Antonio. You may or not may be familiar with him, but he's in the agent business now, and he's working over with Wasserman out in LA. He's an attorney first. And so he came last night educating me on a lot of things that's about to potentially go down and happening. And he was like, "Wynn, be on the lookout. April 7th, there's going to be a ruling coming down, kind of changing the landscape a little bit, transitioning a little bit from the NIL to this revenue sharing model, where schools have only a certain amount of funds to allow to the football, to the basketball, and then they're basically going to be paying guys based off their marketability." So I don't know if you have any thoughts or any insights on that, but I think it could be another potential seismic shift coming in the game, because that's going to really shake up, some of these deals that these guys are getting, because now, everybody at the school has to share into that same kind of pot of money.
Yeah, so, I think they have this revenue sharing idea coming in to kind of regulate NIL, so to speak, because right now it's just like, you can pay as much as you want, unlimited salary cap, so to speak. There's no cap. I mean, unlimited salary. And so now this puts a cap on it. And so what they're proposing is, if this idea goes through on revenue sharing, that the max that you can raise an athletic department is $22 million. Okay. So you raise $22 million. Now the AD would decide what each sport, or percentage of that money that each sport will be able to get. You know what I mean? So if, let's say for sake of conversation, if they say basketball is 15%, well, that'd be 3 million of that 22 million, if that's at 15%. So you first have to raise that 22 million every year. So that's going to be tricky to have some schools. So if you can't raise the 22 million, then it's going to get a little tough, So I think guys being able to get to the 22 million is going to be tricky. We here at Kansas State, we've been very blessed. I joke with Coach Tang all the time. Coach Tang is an ordained minister. So he can preach, but he also he knows how to pass that collection plate around. You know what I mean? So he can call it off. And so we got the 22 million. And I believe moving forward, we'll be able to have that 22 million. I think, but like a lot of schools, we don't know how much of a percent of that money we're going to get right now. We've had discussions with the AD and that kind of thing, but that's the revenue sharing part of it. Now, the true NIL part of it, they're going to have a third string company that's going to say, okay, Winston Shepard's market value based off his following on social media or his marketability, he's worth, $500,000 or $1.2 million. And then now all deals over $600 will have to go through this third company, right, to be able to, for the NCAA to say, hey, that deal is legit or not. So if Dodd is worth, $2 million, by marketability, a school can't go give them $3 million. You know what I'm saying? Like they may be able to give them 3.1 or 3.2. We still don't know what that's going to look like in terms of being in that ballpark and that kind of thing. So what a lot of schools are trying to figure out too. So now what end up happening is, so you'll have the rev share, right? That the basketball program. So once, let's say we got 15% and we have that 3 million. Well, Coach Tang will have that 3 million to be able to disperse amongst our team. And then now the NIL agents, right? And families or kids, so even if you don't have an agent, you can get true NIL based off your name, image, and likeness, which is what the rule was supposed to be in the first place. So now you can get those deals on top of that, real NIL deals. So we'll see. There's always one bad apple that spoils a bunch. There'll still be some guys trying to figure out how to cheat and cut corners and all that kind of stuff. Even in this, it's crazy how these guys still that do the things. But I actually like the fact that they're gonna kind of regulate it a little bit, because it was kind of it was wild west for a minute, man. I mean, it was really. It's
an ever-changing landscape, and that's going to add another monkey wrench into the game. And just from hearing you describe that, my mind went immediately to, well, whoever that third party is going to be getting scrutinized, because they are going to be the ones actually assessing your value. And of course, somebody's right. Like, what if they assess my value at 100,000, and me and my family feel like I'm a 700,000? So now that's going to be potential issues there.
Gonna be interesting.
Yeah. It sounds crazy, bro. It's just now that money is involved. There's just a lot of regulation that you got to do, and you got to put some rules in it, man, because these alumni and some of these schools, bro, can under the table. I'm not saying it's happening, but under the table, on top of
it's happening. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying, if we've been honest, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's been happening. It's been happening over time.
Some schools had NIL before NIL. And so now what I do like is that NIL has caused more parity. You know what I'm saying? It's like right now in college basketball, who's the best basketball team? We still don't know. People think Auburn right now, and they're playing unbelievable. Coach Pell's an unbelievable coach. But it's just like, it's so much parity that has been caused. We played a really good Liberty team in the Virgin Islands. I'm telling you right now, Liberty's got a chance to win their league in Conference USA. And if they on the bracket, pick them. Trust me, pick them. Because they're going to be a 12 seed. They're going to knock off a 5 seed. I'm just telling you. Like, they got a great coach. They got great older players. It's just so much parity in college basketball, man, like with this NIL deal, that I think it's good for the game. I'm happy that
I think it's good for the game too.
Yeah, seems fun, bro.
That guys are able to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. But it's some of these, NIL agents or, agents of, people, these street guys and, just people that's taking advantage of these families. They preying on them. They don't really have their best interest. I think we got to get these NIL agents regulated, because anybody could just, like right now, you two guys could just say, hey, I want to be an NIL agent. You don't need no certification to do it. You can become an NIL agent and you make X amount of percent of the money, and they don't even need these guys to get the rev share. Like, you can negotiate that on your own. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know some of the agents probably gonna get mad at me for saying that, but it's just
it is what it is, brother.
You should be trying to go get these kids real NIL deals, and then you want to take 20% of that because you got them a deal with McDonald's, because you got them with Sony, whatever. Go get that. That's what pro guys do. You know what I mean? That's what real professionals do. But yeah, it's a lot of fugaziness going on right now in college basketball, and I feel bad for these parents that's kind of got to try to, decipher through all this craziness, man.
Man, you got to take the good with the bad, and if you want parity, that's kind of what comes with the game. You see the same thing in college football. Georgia's not a powerhouse no more. Why? Because all the kids that would normally go to Georgia and take money under the table, they can take money on top of the table and go to Tennessee. So now everybody's more so on the even playing field, but you can't change this without changing this over here. So, of course, it's always going to be checks and minuses, pluses and subtractions. So, man, I'm excited to see where the game is going. I like the direction, and all in all, I'm glad that these guys are able to line their pockets with something, and hopefully you're able to trampoline and start your life off on the right foot.
Well, I'll say this too, is like, I think that's why you're starting to see older football and basketball coaches retire, because they were supposed to just dominant, And
the old guard is out.
So these guys are getting out the game. And I think it's like everything, like even the actual game of basketball. I was just talking to a high school coach earlier. He was like, Coach, we're still hard hedging. Why hard hedging? Nobody hard hedging no more. It's aggressive flat hedge. It's switching it. It's playing drop. I told our guys, we just put drop in. It's like, well, I don't want to do drop. Well, you don't want to play in the NBA because Jokic and Embiid ain't getting out there. They're not leaving the paint. So you got to play in drop. Like, so we all have to be like the Marines and learn to adapt. And luckily, man, I get a chance to work for what I believe is the best head coach in the country, in Jerome Tang. And what that dude does is adapt. He adapts to the game, the way we need to coach these guys. We can still hold them accountable in the midst of all this. But it's just like it's a life. When we all adapted with COVID, we had to adapt. Like it's just part of it.
Yeah, nah, man. Look, Coach. We can go on and on for hours, man. I know this relationship and this basketball talk, man, it can go on for hours. The college basketball state, all this stuff that's going on now, man. But I would like to say, man, I appreciate you for pulling up. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for giving your advice. I appreciate you for giving your, you know what I'm saying, your knowledge on the game and where it's going and where it's headed. You know what I'm saying? If y'all don't know, man, it's Coach Ulric Maligi from Kansas State. Assistant coach, man. If you want to get your kid, like Wynn said, if you want to get your kid to the top Big 12 university with all African-American coaches, pull up. You know what I'm saying? Tap in and win and compete. Put a ring, know your ring size too, by the way, youngest. But
and don't be scared of heights. Don't be scared of heights.
Don't be scared of heights. Nah, Coach, for sure, though, man.
For pulling up, Coach. It's been amazing to chop up game with you, Coach. Man. This is, I want to say, probably one of our most in-depth conversations we probably ever had, man. I'm very happy that we was able to do this, man. I want to personally thank you for taking the time out your day to come chop up game with us, man. I know you can be somewhere looking at film or, checking on somebody if they're getting their shots up, man. So the fact that you spend an hour with us, man, it means a lot, man. And I'm looking forward to chopping this up and getting some nice clips and some footage on YouTube for us. And, you know what I'm saying, being able to also kind of bring some spotlight to Kansas State, man, because you guys are doing some great things up there. You guys got a nice program going. Make sure you send my big shots out to Coach Tang. Make sure you said, Wynn didn't say nothing bad about you. He didn't have no bad stories.
Hey, make sure you tell him Dot said pull up. That'll be awesome.
Hey, we got to get him.
Tell him I said pull up. We got to get him on.
Hey, he was so excited. Coach, last thing I'll say is, man, Coach has blessed me to be able to, as the associate coach, man, like to mirror him in all of his media obligations. And so he actually had a press conference today at 2:00. I said, Coach, I can't be there today sitting on the back of the room, fly the wall. I got to get on the show. I'm in your perspective. I got to be on the show with your boys. So he was like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I love them boys. Man. So much respect for what you guys are doing, man. Much respect. I appreciate you guys having me on today, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah, man. Out there, man. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. This is Your Perspective Coaches Corner segment. Appreciate y'all for stopping by and showing love. Make sure y'all continue to like, subscribe, follow, show love to the page, man. Once again, shout out to Coach, man. Coach U, appreciate it. This is Your Perspective. Damian Dotson, Winston Separate, Coach U. We out of here.
Don't hang up yet, Coach.